All right. Welcome, welcome. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for joining me. If this is not your first time joining me, thank you for coming back. So I'm live on both YouTube and Insta. Insta, if you would like for me to see your comments while I'm live, it would be good to join my YouTube live that's on right now. My channel on YouTube is Emmy Evolving. So you guys, right now we're going to be doing a ClairTarot reading for starseeds. Oh, shoot. Hold on. Sorry. The whole thing unplugged. Dang it. Rachel, if you are on the live with me right now, could you please message Daddy and let him know I'm in need of his assistance? Okay. Anyways, so we're going to do a reading for starseeds. What are starseeds? They are those who have been hybridized with a larger amount of galactic coding in their morphogenetic template. What this means is that all of us are hybridized, okay? Starseeds just have a larger percentage of their coding as galactic versus terrestrial. So with the messages for today, I asked the collective starseed energy, can you unplug the white one? Because I don't want to turn my lights on. I just want to plug this in. The white, yeah, to unplug both of those, please. Thank you. Gracias. Gracias. De nada. There we go. I have an amazing, amazing team. Meaning my husband and I, and Rachel. Okay, so anyways, I asked that collective energy, what is this reading going to be about? And it was about how there was a push, something pushed, and starseeds held their ground, but we didn't push back yet. We didn't push back. We kind of just held our ground. Now it's time for the pushback. Okay, speaking of pushbacks, my account is restored. Shop is back open. YouTube and Instagram. If you've been trying to purchase sessions, trying to purchase items, trying to join my membership, which I've gotten a ton of emails. I'm so sorry, guys. PayPal finally restored my account. My website is back and functional. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull these cards. It's time for the pushback. It's really time for that pushback. This does not feel right. No, does not feel right. That's another thing that's been going on. A lot of attempts to spread misinformation. So these attempts to spread misinformation at one point were simply done by controlled opposition, meaning people who sound like they know about spirituality, they use the terms, they have the image, you know, they wear their hair in jata, dreadlocks. I call them jata because that's the sacred term for it. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are using this sort of character. They're playing a character, the namaste thing, the cultural misappropriation of very ancient practices. And we're over here tripping about cultural misappropriation of braids. Not that that's any better, but the whole of the spiritual communities have been infiltrated by those who spread intentional half-truths. Okay, the whole love and light movement, intentional half-truth. Fuck the cards. I need to clean the cards. So we're just going to talk at this point. Okay, it's time for me to begin channeling the messages without use of tools. So there is a galactic lineage It's part of the 3 foundational lineages that worked together, okay, to enslave this dimensional plane of existence, meaning where Gaia is. They installed seals onto our planetary grid to phase lock Gaia into a lower level of dimensional consciousness. And because of the laws of reciprocal reflection, anything that exists upon her surface within her core will reflect those distortions. Okay, those distortions have phase locked us so that we cannot ascend naturally, organically. At one point, we as human beings, we were designed to be self-sustaining perpetual machines. Okay, the body. You want me to pinpoint half truths, the whole bubble and that belief that, oh, if you don't believe in parasites, people who talk about parasites are just fear mongering. They're creation bubbles. And no, it's bullshit. If I don't believe in you because I don't know you exist because you're on the other side of the planet, does that mean you don't exist? Fuck no, it doesn't. Fuck no, it doesn't. It means we are so limited in our ability to comprehend the vastness of creation that we, just because we don't know, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just because we refuse to acknowledge there's a situation going on doesn't negate the situation. Now, if we choose to perpetuate that situation by fixating on the problem instead of acknowledging the problem and fixating on implementation of a solution, then yeah, there's a lot of half truths going on. A lot of people want to have these little titles like master this, I'm a shaman that, like I'm a stay-at-home mom. And because I don't participate in that ego-driven bullshit, I I'm able to really get to the truth of things for myself. I don't need to Google shit and make sure it's in alignment with what other people are teaching. I'll listen to what you're saying. I will. I'll consider it. I'll mull it over, and I'll see how it fits in the truth as I know it, as I've lived it. And if it doesn't, thank you for the conversation, but I'm not entertaining that. No. Yep. So here it is. There were three galactic lineages who began this huge campaign. They are the antithesis of the Christos energy. So anti-Christos, anti-Christ. I'm not talking about no biblical shit, you guys. I'm very familiar with Bible stuff. I've been indoctrinated through daily theology classes for most of my life. I'm not interested in that shit. I'm talking about entering a state of gnosis, a state of knowing, the type of teachings that Jesus was really talking about, the heart of this man's message. And Jesus was a man who then began to represent an archetype. And what we need to get back to is that these foundational galactic races that were egged on by a specific being, Shaitan, they were egged on by this being to create a systematic paradigm of control, separation, competition. That's why everybody's trying to compete. Everybody's trying to compare. Once upon a time in our history, we were a co-creative consciousness. We were co-creating. We weren't interested in comparing. We weren't interested in competing. We rose up, we pulled up. We rose up, we pulled up. We rose up, we pulled up. That's how we functioned. And it was beautiful until at one point, again, this Shaitan came and distorted the perceptions, created a division between the masculine and the feminine, told the masculine, you are the father, you are the patriarch, subdue the matriarch. She has too much control. Let us vilify the moon. Let us vilify the number 13, the cycles of the moon. Let us go ahead and take witchcraft, which ties deeply into gnosis. Jesus was a witch, I'll tell you that shit, okay? He might not have said it because they didn't use those terms in that time yet. But Jesus was absolutely dabbling in that Wiccan shit. Okay. And if you think I'm full of shit, go look up the Dead Sea Scrolls, because Jesus talks about lift a rock, I'm there. I'm in a tree. God is this. God, God is in everything. Okay. That's some Wicca shit. Let's get that real quick. Okay. Okay. And so any religion, any teaching, any group that seeks to instill and empower sovereignty was systematically attacked. I wouldn't be surprised if my channels get shut the fuck down for talking about this stuff. I would not be surprised. Because guess what? This system that we exist within doesn't want us to remember our sovereignty. It doesn't. It doesn't. It becomes very difficult to control those who exist in a state of sovereignty. You can't bribe them. You can't coerce them. They're defiant AF. And why is that? Because they know they bow to none but their higher self, an aspect, a lower aspect of that divine creative energy up above. So what are we doing now? We are allowing ourselves to be convinced that our children who are born with their sovereignty intact are somehow broken. They are disobedient. Disobedient to what? Corporate law? Let that sink in. Let that sink in. What are they disobedient to? And you're criticized as a parent if you don't beat the child into submission. And again, another half-truth. You want to talk about half-truths that are being peddled. Okay, well, let's go ahead and criticize the parents who have been indoctrinated to believe that laying hands on a child, beating them, slapping them, spanking them, that is discipline, which if you look at the root of discipline, the root meaning of it, where did it originate? It means to teach. Discipline, disciple. Did Jesus beat the disciples to discipline them? No, he led by example. He allowed his actions, his beliefs to be witnessed by those who followed him. And in turn, just like children, just like the lambs following the shepherd boy, they followed him. Okay. So that's the root of discipline. That's the origins of the word discipline. So if you think you're spanking your child to discipline them, I'm not going to correct you. I choose to believe that the children choose who they are born to, and they know what kind of experiences you're capable of giving them. And I'm not going to interfere in that. But if I catch you beating a child in front of me, I'm not going to have that either, because that child, their soul allowed for me to witness it so I can step in. Okay, I'm not going to criticize other people's parenting, but going back to the whole half-truth being put out there, you are not an evolved parent if you don't practice timeout. So what is timeout? Oh, it's peaceful parenting, because you're going to scream at that child, fuck up their head, right? It's not, you're not laying hands anymore. You're fucking with their head. Stick them in a corner, scream at them, tell them to stay there for hours on end. Think about what you're doing. Go by yourself. Because being by yourself is fucking punishment. Well, how do you evolve? How do the sages get to the places within their consciousness? Was it being around everyone else? Or was it by taking a pilgrimage, becoming a hermit for a period of time where there's no other people around, there's just you? Very simple existence, so much stillness. The only thing that can be reflected back to you is the purity of nature, nature being the greatest transmutation machine ever. And you reflecting that, that process. Remembering once again, because you're no longer distracted by other people's issues, you're now remembering the beautiful art of alchemy. Oh, but let's go ahead and let's tell these children that's punishment. Being alone is punishment. And then you wonder why everyone's so clingy. We got people who are like, oh, how dare everyone do this self-healing shit by themselves? You're ignoring everyone who loves you. How about you love yourself enough to be your own cheerleader? How about you love yourself enough to push back this time? Because that's what's going on right now. That's what the title of the video is, right? Starseeds, they push, you stood your ground. It's time to push back. It's time to push back. Absolutely. It's time to push back because of the fact that we're entering a phase of our development where we need to acknowledge a few things. So again, digressing back to the earlier topic of the 3 galactic races, beings, lines, lineages, whatever the hell you want to call it, the 3 that were needed to create that foundation from which the anti-Christos belief system paradigm would be launched. One of them I've come to call 2M. Okay, I've come to call it 2M because it's the Montgi merger strain. And here's the thing, and this kind of just dawned on me, this remembrance dawned on me right before I went live. I totally got breached by it. I want to say like 2 years ago. I want to say it was maybe last year. I don't remember, but I got breached by it, and that shit shut me down. It shut me down because it really, really affected the way I see myself, the way everything. And then as I was trying to clear myself of this, it was a week-long process of like a lot of introspection, really deep thinking. I shut down my page, everything. And so I was really thinking on this, and I came to the realization this thing devours light. So all of you who have been trying to exist simply in light, you have been marked as lambs for slaughter. You're so afraid of the darkness because the darkness is bad, the darkness is evil, all kind of just really distorted shit. You have both light and dark within your auric field. This is a part of your birthright, a birthright that was created with balance. You need balance in order to be a whole being. Okay, you need balance. Creation will always seek balance, and if you don't, that's fine. You go around in circles. Okay, try paddling and getting somewhere with only one paddle, using only one side, because I mean the left side is evil, so we're only going to use the right paddle, paddling on the right side, because the left side is darkness and evil. So we're just going to do that. See how far you get. See how many circles, how many laps you do in the same place, and then come back to me and tell me about how it's just about love and light. Okay, through darkness comes light. Can't have one without the other. Actually, you can have one without the other, but you exist solely in light. You're gonna be light blind. You don't know what the fuck you're looking at. Try staring at the sun. I mean, I'm not telling you to, but I'm just saying, if you stared at the sun for a prolonged period, I mean, you're going to damage the shit out of your eyes, first off. And then secondly, go inside the house, see what you can see. Oh, nothing. A big ass white blob. Right. So try sitting in darkness for a while, and then take a match and light it. How beautifully bright is that tiny little light? You can see all the various flames dancing and shifting, the way it consumes the fuel. You can see all the little details, which you wouldn't be able to see if you were just existing in light. Darkness exists for a reason. Everything in creation that is existing at this point exists for a reason, including the 3 foundational races that were tasked with enslaving this earth plane. Okay, you can't sit there and tell me, okay, first, I'm not religious. I no longer partake in that bullshit. I feel, for me personally, it's bullshit. If you still need religion to remind you of your divinity, go for it. I'm not condemning you. You do that. Okay, you do what you need to do. But for me personally, I don't partake in religion because of various factors. Despite me not participating in religion, I do believe I've experienced enough in my life personally, not Googled bullshit, not something I read in a book without any idea of the intention, spiritual intention of the author. Again, going back to KRS-One, he said, unless you know the history of the author, you have no idea the soils in which that book was written, was planted. So going back to this, I've experienced enough in my life to know there is a God presence. Is God a he? Fuck out of here. God is not a he. God is not a she. God is both and neither all at once. You can't be omnipotent and unnameable, undefinable in your power and have labels placed upon you. The moment you begin to do that, you have lowered the expression of that God energy. And it's no longer the totality of that God presence. So I'm sorry, but God is not a he. God is not a she. God is both and neither all at once. If you ask me what my definition of God is, the everything and the nothing and the spaces in between, that is God. That is my God. That is our God. That means everything that created me, all the different fractals of coding, all the subatomic particles, all the components of my cellular material, those are all fractals of God. I'm condensed God form. So are you. Does that mean I am God? No. I am a condensed form, a densified representation of a fractal of a fractal of a fractal of a fractal of that God energy. So recognize that. Recognize that. And what's going on now with the whole Monkey merger thing? I got breached about a year ago, and I cleared it, and I came to the realization it consumes light. People are like, just blast it with light, which is what I would normally do. And then I was like, oh, fuck. I'm feeling more sick. I'm feeling much more sick. So many people are infected with this at this point. So many people are infected by it at this point. And I had to go through a period of time where I had to ask, why is this being allowed? Why is this being allowed? Because it's infecting those with huge reaches, huge audiences. People are being drawn to them like, what the actual fuck is going on? Why can't these people who are supposed to be very skilled, very sensitive, very divine, being allowed to be infected and spreading this shit? Because it's the final polarization before the spiritual mitosis. Pinching off and separating to become two different forms. And the people who are in higher levels of spiritual awareness, those who are really participating in spirituality, especially those who are starseeds, those are the ones who have a lot of entry points through ego. And so they're being utilized. They're being utilized as Trojans to allow for a separation that is so profound it hasn't been experienced in a very long time. This has been experienced several times before. Several resets have occurred. Is another reset imminent? I don't know, but we are approaching an event horizon. Yes, we are. We are approaching an event horizon. Do we have to be afraid? No. If there have been multiple resets and we still exist, what are you afraid of? And again, I've said this in live streams many times. If the one thing that's guaranteed in this life on this earth plane is death, meaning before you can graduate to the next level, you have to die. The body has to die. What are you afraid of? That's a guarantee. You're afraid of dying? That's a guarantee. Yeah, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not. I'm not, you know, I'm just not. Because I know what's beyond this life. I don't die. You don't die. None of us die. The consciousness just gets out of the vehicle and keeps going. It just keeps going. Okay. So at this point, there's a pushback needing to happen. We're in the process of birthing ourselves, rebirthing a consciousness, a purified form of consciousness. Rachel, could you please, if you're still on the live, Rachel, could you please message Daddy again and ask him to come turn off the heater? Because I'm about to die for real. I'm like that. Oh God, it's not on. So I think what's needing to happen at this point is we really need to take stock of where we've gone with our fear. Have you allowed your fear to bring you to the areas of your consciousness that are needing your attention at this point? Because that's really what fear exists for. Okay. Even back when it was all about survival in ancient times, when we didn't have the level of experience and expansion of consciousness that we do now, and we were concerned with surviving, that's what fear did. It brought our attention to the areas of the forest where something was stalking us. You feel your hairs rise and you feel like something's watching you, and it instills tremendous amounts of fear within you. And so suddenly you're looking. And because that fear, you're looking at something that's about to pounce on you, that's about to use its murder mitts on your ass. And so you hopefully are able to avoid that, right? Well, now we don't necessarily have those same survive. Can you turn on this switch? I am so hot.
You are.
I don't want to start taking clothes off right now. But now we don't need fear in that way. So fear is helping us to evolve by bringing our attention to the very things we need to pay attention to. And if you're just going to be afraid and just be afraid and use that fear to avoid, isn't it kind of like counterproductive? Isn't that the opposite of how fear is supposed to assist you? And we have these people who are spiritual, God bless their hearts, and they're talking about how we need to kill the ego. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? Kill the ego for what? For what? Why is that? Why do you have to kill the ego? Ask me where I love one more time and you get banned. Why do you have to kill the ego? You don't. The ego needs to be balanced, okay? The ego exists for a reason. Those are the aspects of you and your character that need to be addressed. Is it because they're broken parts? Is it because they're parts that need to no longer exist? No. Exactly. Integrate. It's about integration. And what's integration? A fancier word for reunification, a more, sterilized scientific word for reunification, the reunification of all your parts, all the fractals of self, including the reflections. And so if we're talking about integration, reunification, those being synonymous with each other, and that being an organic part of your ascension process, an organic part of the mechanisms of your rise. One of the major components for some of the star seeds, particularly the blue rays, is the twin flame thing. So what do we do about that? Let's go ahead and bastardize that. Let's turn it into some sexual thing. Ain't that some shit? You want to ask me again about half truths? There you go. There you go. Let's teach all of these people. First, let's prime it, because we know all of this shit's coming, right? We have precogs working for us. We know all of this is coming. Let's go ahead and prime this field first. Let's like 60s, 70s. Let's begin talking about soulmates. Okay? Let's begin talking about soulmates. Let's introduce this as soulmates. There's one other person that was created just for you. You're taking ownership of another sovereign, all right? They belong to you. And then as we allow more of this information to be released, which about 90 to 95% of the information that's being released under the banner of spirituality is draconian half-truths being taught, Reiki included. Reiki practitioners, you can get pissed at me all the fuck you want, but Reiki was allowed to be disseminated because it's a draconian teaching, okay? It's a draconian teaching. I'm not talking shit about the practitioners. I'm talking shit about the Reiki itself. Large bulk, almost all of the Reiki practitioners that I've come across have no idea about this. Almost all of them are people with the most beautifully pure hearts and intentions who simply want to help and don't know any other thing. And they came across Reiki and they were like, this is it. This is how I'm going to help. So the problem isn't the practitioner. It's not the Reiki practitioner. Let's get that shit straight right now. It's the Reiki itself. It pressure injects, and Reiki cannot, it's not potent enough to pressure inject. This is latent coding, hidden, okay? Compartmentalized coding that's being pressure injected into the recipient's core to allow for backdoor entry of draconian presence at a later date. You are giving a fucking psychopath your garage door opener. Here you go. I trust you to like knock first. Let's see how that shit works out. But, you know, namaste. We cleared that up, right? So, you know, a lot of the shit that's released is in fact controlled opposition. This goes through every aspect of our entire existence. Controlled opposition. We have people, I don't want to name his name, but he has a really deep, raspy voice. He's a truther. He was a truther, but you see his eyes, they're changed. They have reptilian coding within them. He's very well known in the truther circles. I'm sorry. What did I say? Nothing. So at one point, his work was very pure. I used to watch him regularly. And then something shifted, and I was like, I cannot watch you no more. What is this? What is this? He now releases information. From what I can tell energetically, I've never spoken to him. I don't know him personally. I have no relationship or connection to him privately. He releases information that perpetuates the fear that's necessary to manifest that which they're trying to manifest. What I'm talking about is this. They need us to believe in an apocalypse for the apocalypse to come to fruition. Yes, there's going to be shifting. Yes, there's going to be a lot of like really fucked up things that we're leaning towards because we choose to continue to participate in this paradigm of competition and control, comparison. Yeah. Rising Sun Reiki. I'm sure you entered into that Reiki brotherhood because of the purity of your desire to help other people. This is what I see. It's rare for me to come across someone who does Reiki that is like, no, hold on. It's rare for me to come across someone who does Reiki that is like intrinsically malicious. Like everything about them is malicious and nefarious. No. A large portion of the people who come to me having practiced Reiki or mastered it or whatever certificate, all they want to do is help people. All they want to do is zoom, and a boom, boom. Just shake your rump. I'm just saying. So at this point, the pushback is needing to happen. This is about you allowing yourself to push back all the pressure to conform. And let's face it, spirituality at one point was a way to escape this system of control before it became infiltrated. Now it's yet another system of control. You have to do this type of yoga. You have to do this type of energy work. You have to do this many meditations. You have to meditate in this way. You're wearing the wrong clothes. You're eating the wrong food. You're speaking to the wrong people. I beg to differ. As someone whose sovereignty is fully intact, I'm talking about myself. My sovereignty is fully intact. I will not tell you what to do, and you sure as fuck will not tell me what to do. No, you won't. You can ask me. You can reason with me. You can ask me for my compliance. I'll probably agree. You try and force me, motherfucker, I would rather fucking die. Not even joking, okay? I'm not even joking. Oh, you think you're going to force me to do something without me yet deciding for myself because there's some kind of label? Oh, because you're a twin? fuck out of here. Kick your rocks in a whole different fucking state. The Pisces in me makes me seem nice. But the sovereign soul in me, that Blu-ray, I would rather fucking die a miserable death than bow down to anything that does not align with my purpose. Whether I understand my purpose or not, I will fight to defend it. And it will be one hell of a fight. Both guns blazing, daggers in my pockets, wind blowing. I'm just saying, I still remember my life in feudal Japan. Today's a good day to die. Oh yeah, fucking samurai. I love them. Sexy. They're sexy. But yeah, no, seriously, don't be so scared of you and your process that you're willing to bow down to whatever. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous that people think they can do this to you. They think they can do this to you. It doesn't actually happen to you until you allow it. Exactly. Code of Bushido. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Live by the code. I mean, think on it. Think on it. A lot of Archangel Michael's family was filtered through feudal Japan. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Okay, who the fuck carries the sword? Tell me that. Tell me that. Who carries the sword? Okay. Okay. The samurai were ridiculously full of integrity. Ridiculously full of integrity. And it wasn't for a lack of fear that they were courageous. It was their conscious decision in how they chose to behave, even with the fear involved. Like, yo. Code of Bushido. Look that shit up. Mushashi. Was that his name? Mushashi. One of my lives making swords. Mushashi. Misha Musashi. I don't know his name. I purposely don't want to remember any of that shit. It gets me all riled up. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, Jovanka. I've always stayed behind or stayed hidden for the very fact how others classified what should be. Nope. No one should be classifying you. No one should be labeling you, forcing you, hammering you into a fucking round peg when you are square. Nope. No one. No one. As part of the pushback, you don't have to get physically violent at all. Sometimes the most potent wars are ones that are fought in silence. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Sometimes the most powerful show of rebellion is to sit quietly and choose no response. And what I like to do, and maybe you can do this too, Starseeds. Oftentimes, because I get attacked through all of my live streams, all of them. There are those who come to every single live stream just to try and attack me, and I don't respond. I don't really say anything. I kind of just ignore it. 88% at 844. Fuck yeah. 38 and 38. Yeah. Shit. Okay, let me calm my shit down. Let me just calm down. Okay. So yeah, I consistently get attacked energetically, and here's the beautiful thing. I allow it. You send me energy, I'll take that. And I'll put in a containment unit, and I'll go ahead and sterilize that energy as I'm working. And when I get sick of your shit, I'm going to take that whole containment unit and I'm going to smash it on you and let you burn in your own holy fire. Ain't that some shit? A fire free of distortion, so it's going to burn like a motherfucker. You know how like the truth hurts, truth burns. Ooh, someone said the truth to you. Burn! Just like that. Uh-huh. Yeah. So maybe that's what you should start doing. Instead of wasting your energy responding. No, I'll give you one warning, and then I'm gonna start harvesting your energy. I'm not letting that shit in my field, fucking disgusting ass distortions. And put that in containment unit, separate from me. And then I'm gonna clarify that energy. I'm gonna sterilize it, and I'm gonna amplify it and smash it on your ass when I'm done. When I'm done being patient, when I'm done being compassionate, when I'm done exercising my grace. That's the pushback. I'm not going to hurt you. You going to hurt yourself because I'm not loading anything into that containment unit. You are. So when you come away from my live hurting like a motherfucker because you've been trying to attack me the whole time and I'm over here laughing, it's not because I'm evil. It's because you are and you're receiving it back. Yep. It's what you asked for, right? It's what they asked for. Actually, you shouldn't send out anything. You shouldn't send out anything at all. That's another half truth that was peddled by Draconian. Send light and love, send energy, send healing, send Reiki, send. Unless you are well versed in the art of energetic war and don't need to use cords. And if you don't know how to use cords, you're fucking 100% using cords. If you don't know how to do direct port injections, if you don't know how to do non-specific induction, you're using cords. I don't care if you know or not. You are using cords. I'm telling you right now, you're using cords. And just like an umbilical cord between a mother and unborn child, because creation is nothing but a stair step, meaning the same model is stepped down, condensed, separated into how many more components of the same exact thing, and each component down until we get to this density. So that umbilical cord has two ways. The child is not just taking from the mother, the child is also giving to the mother. So whatever amount is displaced as it receives, the child will then release. Whatever amount the child releases, the mother then must give. So when you send 4 grams of love and light to someone because you feel bad for them, because, oh, well, they have a lot of darkness in their heart, so I'm going to send love to their heart. You're courting into the heart. And by laws of balance and reciprocal reflection, when you send 4 grams of love to displace the darkness in their heart, 4 grams of darkness have been displaced and are now speeding through that cord directly to you. Oh, now suddenly I feel sick because you fucking displaced their darkness. They didn't ask you to do that. So now you got to take it in. So what you going to do now? What's going to happen now? I don't know. What happens now? Your intention was pure. Really, it was pure. It was a pure intention. It was out of love. It was light. Are you a bad person? Absolutely not. But you just fucked yourself. You just did. You totally just invited that into your field. And that's what's being peddled right now. This is what's being taught to everybody. I'm not teaching this shit. When I teach my students, and we actually just covered this last week. We just covered this. We talked about cords. We talked about containment. And people think, I'm going to call in Archangel Michael to cut the cord. What do you think he is? What do you think he is? You think you're really calling in Archangel Michael to cut the cord? I tell you this, Michael's the one who taught me about the cords. He helped me remember about the cords. You cut the cord, it's just like cutting the branch off a tree. The tree still grows until you realize, until you're able to see and contain the root ball, the placental ball that serves as the anchor point for that cord. I That's all I got to say about that. Okay, a solution, you're going to pay someone who is an expert in cutting cords. The fact that they're cutting cords tells me they're not an expert. They've Googled shit and they're regurgitating what's been Googled. Hmm. A lot of the shit on Google is also draconian. Does this mean that you should be afraid of everything? No. This means that you need to begin working on yourself. You need to begin realigning that pathway between self and soul so that your soul can guide you to the information that you need. You don't need the whole book because draconians are releasing information, but only bits and pieces of it embedded in a fucking ocean of lies and distortions. So allow yourself to allow your higher self to guide you to those couple sentences and you'll feel it. You'll feel it. You don't have to read the whole book. You'll feel it. You can scroll along and you'll know when to stop. And you'll read those few sentences like, damn, that's profound. And then keep going. Okay? That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. So, how do you clear the energy immediately if you didn't even realize about this type of courting? Because if you knew about this courting, I'm sure you wouldn't have sent. And I'm not trying to single you out, but trying to create a dialogue so that people will have a better understanding of how far this infiltration of truth has occurred, how deep it goes, how deep those distortions go. So how do you clear energy if you're not aware that that energy has been injected? You don't. You don't. Until you become aware, until you become brave enough to really sit with yourself and understand when there are inconsistencies within your field, within your behavior. And this is why it's so important to hold yourself accountable for the shit you do, whether it's good shit or bad shit, you hold yourself accountable for it. You know what? Yeah, I cussed someone out. I did because I was in a bad mood, not because it was necessary. I wasn't fighting for sovereignty. I wasn't enforcing boundaries. I was just in a bad mood, and fucking they offered by engaging me. They offered to let me vent in an ugly way, so I did. That wasn't very evolved of me, but it was something I needed in that moment to move forward from it. You know, exactly 144. Pow! It's the pow. You know. Mm. It's definitely time. It's time for us to begin recognizing the shifting, the pushback occurs from within. It occurs from within us. It's something that you're either going to choose to do or you're not. And if you choose not to do it, that's fine with me. It has to be fine with everyone else. You're on your own journey, but you're going to reap what you sow. Bottom line. Everything that you plant, every seed that you plant or allow to be planted in the garden of your mind must first be watered in order for it to grow. So people can say and do whatever they want. They are simply planting seeds. But unless you water it, it's not going to grow. So if your garden is full of bullshit, you've been watering all of the bullshit. So really, there's no one else to blame. Do you even need to blame? Or do you need to just be accountable for the decisions you've made and recognize what those decisions are, that they are the causations that lead to the effects that you are now struggling through? And instead of trying to point the finger at someone else, why don't you just spend your time weeding your garden, pruning the things that have overgrown, prune back some of that ego, prune back some of that fear. Just because a tree's overgrown doesn't mean it needs to be cut down. It can still provide shelter from inclement weather. It can still potentially provide sustenance if it grows fruit. Not everything has to be cut down, okay? You say I was gonna respond, but it started messing up, so I guess I don't need to, but yet just listen. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not here sitting or standing in front of you as someone who knows more than you, who is more evolved than you, somehow superior to you. Not at all. Not at all. No. We are learning this shit together. And the reason why your comments are being brought to my attention is because this is a conversation that needs to be had with everybody. Again, it's not all directed at you. You are gifting us with a potentiality of conversation, open and candid conversation that can lead so many other people to self-realizations that they are needing in this moment. So in many ways, the two of us together are co-creating a potentiality of healing simply by sharing of our thoughts. You commenting is not wrong. Me responding to the comment is not wrong. This is not an argument. This is a sharing of thoughts in a passionate way. And that's the thing. We've become so conditioned to like, oh, if you speak passionately, you're being combative. You're arguing. No, I'm not. I'm not. It's my frustration rising up that people they keep trying to force all of us to conform to standards that don't apply to everyone. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't apply to everyone. If you still want to be part of that matrix, the false king of tyranny matrix, that's fine. Speak in a PC way. That's fine. Don't talk about darkness. Let's only focus on love. That's fine. You know, if you want to just have one leg to run a marathon with no attachments to help you run, that's fine. Hop your way through life. Hop, just hop, you know. But I like all my parts. All my parts were gifted to me by that creator itself. And if you think you're going to steal from me one of my parts, one of my gifts, I mean, you can think that. But my actions and my energy will show you I'm not going to fucking allow that. I'm not going to. I do not consent. You do not have my permission. And if you enter my field, that is a declaration of war, and I will go to war. I've spent many of my lives honing my war abilities. Just because I'm peaceful doesn't mean I'm not capable. And just because I'm capable doesn't mean I always will. And that's one of the most beautiful things about sovereignty. That's one of the most beautiful things about a soul that recognizes the gravity of who and what they are. Whether you've fully understood it or embraced it is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. But the moment you begin to embrace the gravity of who and what you are, you begin to call back to you all your parts, all your pieces that are necessary to become whole again. And you don't need to know what the puzzle looks like, because those puzzle pieces will automatically just shift into place and lock in. And as you continue your path, as you continue to allow yourself to have the interactions that are necessary to continue to expand your awareness, you will continue to grow, and more pieces will fall into place with no effort. And then one day you'll look back and you'll realize that puzzle's completed. And boy, it's a beautiful picture. The frustration, it definitely doesn't need to be vilified. Sometimes that frustration is just a reminder from your higher self that you're trying to rush a process that's needing time to ferment. You know, you can't rush fermentation. You have to allow it. You kind of have to just leave it be, right? Have you ever tried to ferment sourdough bread? You have to just leave that be. You just leave it in a warm place, let it do its thing, come back to it later. And it will have grown. It will have doubled in size. And before you're able to actually make something fruitful, what do you have to do? You have to punch it down, right? And that lets out all the air. And sometimes when you think you've evolved and become real big and bad, and someone comes along to punch you down, Just like I got infiltrated, I believe it was last summer. That shit punched me down real good. Got out all that air. I was getting a little too big for my britches. I wasn't being cocky, but I was being very comfortable, sheltered by all my layers of protection. And I became a little too comfortable, thinking that nothing can penetrate through my shield. Oh, there are things that can. It's very rare. They're very ancient. But there are things in creation that can. And if we're experiencing the level of agitation that we are, it's a tremendous amount of agitation. That agitation shakes loose the things that have settled. If you look at the way a washing machine works, it cleanses your clothes through agitation. That's why they have the agitator in the center, shaking everything up. And that's what shakes away the debris from the fabric. The weaving of the fabric houses the debris and it gets shaken free. And then the water is drained. So if you feel like you're being drained, if you feel like you're being agitated and then drained, you're being cleansed. You're being cleansed for a process. And before that item of clothing is done with this process, it will have been agitated and cleansed multiple times, in addition to that agitation and cleansing. If you want to accelerate this process, you're going to use the machines, right? You're not going to hand wash. You're not going to air dry. You're going to stick it in a washing machine and then a dryer. That's perfectly fine. Right now, we're in an accelerated process. But just know the dryer is very fucking hot. We're about to feel some heat. And that's fine too. As long as you understand this is a part of your process, do not be afraid of yourself. Do not be afraid of your process. Do not be afraid of your greatness simply because you think you're not enough to be able to wield it with responsibility and care. It's the people who don't have that fear that I'm the most concerned for. Those are the people who are gonna fuck shit up. But the people who are constantly afraid, like, what if I hurt someone? What if I accidentally, don't do the right thing and someone gets hurt? Boo, you never gonna do that. You're not perfect. You might make some mistakes as a part of your learning process, but the mistakes that you make, the people that are involved in those mistake situations, they volunteered for that. On a soul level, you two agreed, okay, you know what? I'm gonna help you learn this lesson, okay? I'm gonna come around this time in your life. You're gonna make a mistake, and it's through the pain that is generated from the interactions between us. That's gonna grow you. That's gonna grow you. Don't feel bad about it. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on. They're growing you. They're helping you to grow. Even the people who attack you, the people who vilify you, the people who want to see your demise, who are trying their damnedest to invest as much as they can in your demise. On a soul level, you love me. You're growing me. Thank you for your contribution to my growth. When that contribution is done, you're going to go on your merry way because I no longer need you in my space. Because although I do love and recognize you on a soul level, in human form, you're very toxic and you're not welcome here. But thank you for your contribution while you were. No need for you to apologize. I recognize the role you play in my development. No need for closure. This was a self-contained thing. Whatever this was that occurred between us, it was contained. It's always been self-contained. And whoever else got involved with it, they agreed to that too. It's been a self-contained circumstance even before it occurred. I don't need closure. I don't need apologies. I need to free myself to move forward with no fear. Recognizing that everything that comes to my doorstep is something that's being hand-delivered to me by my soul as a gift of learning, as a gift of elevated potentiality. So you ask me, with all the people that do shit to me, do I have enemies? No, I don't. But I do have a lot of volunteers who help me to grow. Am I mad at them? No. Why would I ever be mad at the help? I'm just saying. All right, I'm on a countdown, 30 seconds on Insta. Thank you so much for joining me. If this resonates, please give this a thumbs up. Insta, if you haven't already followed me, please follow my page. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. YouTube and Insta both have the same handle, Emmy Evolving. You can find me all over wherever you look. Just look for Emmy Evolving, okay? All right, Insta is done. Let me end it and download. Oh, well, shoot. I damn downloaded the app like 5 times. Share it to story. Oh my God, she's so my girl crush. She so is my girl crush. Stephanie Sanzo. She's so ridiculously adorable and badass. Oh my God, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go to the gym. She's so freaking cute. So you guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing this space with me, being open to listening to my thoughts, my experiences. Ooh, 99% at 9:06, 88:40. Love it. Love it. So again, give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me every single time I'm live. I'm going to be trying to go live again in a few minutes to do ClairTarot readings for the zodiacs. We did Pisces yesterday or last night. That was one huge clusterfuck. I'm just saying. Pisces, y'all are my spirit animal. I love you guys. See you in a few minutes. Bye.